there, kiddo!
Oh, hi, Grandpa.
You know, I heard you really like the Dark Souls, so I decided to get you a new one!
Oh, you got me the new Dark Souls game?
What game?
Grandpa, did you ransack the Temple of the Ancients again?
No! Yeah.
Go put that back. Last time you did this, you almost triggered a world war.
Okay.
Old people. Oh, look! A mistake! Oh boy. It's the 2014 sequel for that critically acclaimed 2011 title. It's Dark Souls 2! Oh, sorry, my mistake. What I meant to say is, it's Drunk Sauce EE. Dark Souls was renowned for its brutal difficulty. And while many people despised it for this, only the most brain-dead individuals could deny its success. And when something is successful, sequels are sure to follow. And for this occasion, I traveled back in time to 2012-13 to witness the team at From Software first discussing this new game.
わかりました。最初のダークソウルは素晴らしい成功を収めました。だから新しいものを作るのは当然のことですが、何か提案はありますか？
Well, we could look at the mistakes we made in the first game and improve on them. Make quality of life improvements, create a more dynamic and interesting combat system with more complex bosses and...
いやー、それは退屈ですね。社員番号2のあなたはどうですか？
Oh, I have a great idea. What if we look back at the first game and made everything worse?
あなたはいつもそのようなことを言います。そして、それがまさにあなたが当社の最優秀従業員である理由です。
And that's how Dark Souls 2 came to be. While the first game had some infamous areas and bosses, the second one is infamous in its entirety. And in today's video we'll see if this reputation is deserved or if it's all just prejudice. So prepare yourselves as we take a look at Dark Souls 2. We start off with an old lady. You good, ma'am? Why do you look like the witch from Owl's Moving Castle after she got deflated? She tells us about the curse of the undead and the kingdom of Drangleic, and now we're about to go there. And yep, that's it. We didn't even start and we can already see our first controversial point. The plot of this game has practically nothing to do with its predecessor. And to be honest, I have absolutely no idea what's going on in this cutscene. We traverse a lake where we disturb a colony of fireflies, then in return wake up the souls of the damned who then create a whirlpool. Okay. No, wait, I forgot my floaties! What the hell happened? Why did the graphics go from 4K to calculator screen? I normally don't pay much attention to graphics, but it does create a problem when they create a health hazard. I was just looking around the grass and my eyes immediately started to hurt. I barely started playing and the game is already trying to kill me. Amazing start. On the other side of the field, we find a small house where a bunch of grandmas dressed as bell peppers live.
Oh my, your face.
I wouldn't talk about someone else's face when mine looks like it's about to fly off.
What is your name?
My name? Theme. I look like the main character of some shitty isekai anime. I got a lot of work on my hands. Voila! Everyone, meet Fimkachu. To properly start off, let's discuss a couple of features while fighting this dude. Okay, seems to be pretty normal so far. Pretty standard Dark Souls combat and... Oh... Since we're at the beginning, we are ready. We are fresh. Let's deliver the bad news. Many bad things from this game stem from one single thing. Adaptability. This stat is tied to another stat unique to this game called agility, which determines the number of invincibility frames during a dodge roll, meaning that if you don't level this up, you will constantly get hit while dodging. Adaptability also determines how fast you can use healing items, which is very important in this game because of the changes they made to healing. First of all, Estus is not the only healing item, with life gems, mushrooms, balls, and other items joining the fray. Other than how much they heal, they differentiate for how fast they heal, because all healing in this game is gradual, meaning that if you manage to heal during a fight, you can still die if you get hit too early. It's incredible how these two little things can cause me so many aneurysms. After passing the tutorial area with a minimal bloodshed,
Fatality.
we reach the hub of this game, Majula. Overall, this place is functionally identical to Firelink Shrine, serving as a meeting point for NPCs and a connection to multiple other areas. And this brings me to another point. Wow, that's a lot of places. With Dark Souls 2, they decided to go for a more quantity over quality approach that resulted into a lot of very forgettable content, but we'll talk about everything in due time. And now that we finished with the general stuff, let's begin with this torture, I mean this journey. Our first destination, the Forest of the Fallen Giants, which is a forest only for the first 10 minutes before changing to a fort and not changing the name. One thing that I noticed immediately is how generous they are with bonfires. You rarely go too far without finding one, which is a massive help if we're not gonna be able to fast travel for now. Wait, travel? We have fast travel from the beginning! Okay, now I'm in a good mood. How can this get any better? Oh my goodness. We must stay focused, brothers. We must. One of the first things I found inside is this Count Patches, who looks like a turtle. He tells us about a trap or something, I don't know. Let's see what treasure we'll find here. Hey, what is the meaning of this? You set me up, you little son of a... I'll get you next time, pate! After a while, I found my way to the first boss, the last giant. And by defeating him, I get a key that will let me explore the rest of the area. Also about this key that will let me open the blacksmith's workshop in Majula, so that I can now upgrade my gear. No need to thank me, mister.
And you are? Another useless traveler.
Bitch! You might be thinking I've been jumping around, skipping stuff, and in a way, yes, because I don't want this video to be 3 days long. But coming back to what I said before, a lot of areas and bosses in this game are so insignificant that there's literally nothing to say about them. But at least this boss is one of the better ones. This is the Pursuer, and its fight positively stands out above the crowd, thanks to the boss itself and its interactions with the arena through these 2 ballistas that you can use against him to deal huge damage. Also, this is an introduction to a recurring mini-boss. Throughout my playthrough, I found 6 different Pursuer fights, all of which can be fought to obtain different goodies. Overall, an amazing fight. I'm impressed, Dark Souls 2. Hopefully don't just go spiraling down the toilet without any warning. So where's the next area? The entrance doesn't seem to be here. Maybe you have to backtrack? It's like in the Dark Souls, where there's the big black chicken that grabs you and brings you to the mental asylum. The bird brings us to the Lost Bastille, where we find the... No, not the dogs! Huh. So, as it turns out, the dogs in this game became stupid, which instantly elevates this as the best Dark Souls game in existence. And right after the Pursuer, we immediately get another good boss, the Ruined Sentinels. It's you against 3 of them, and the battle starts with you on an elevated platform with only 1 of them. If you manage to defeat it fast enough, you can turn the battle into a 2v1. And you can also manage yourself between the platform and the ground below to make the battle easier. Oh, also, why is the music slapping so hard? Once again, Dark Souls 2, you impressed me. Everything is going great. The only thing that could ruin it now is if they went into an insane shit streak, but that would be extreme. And since we're actually in a good streak, let's talk about something that I think made the exploration of this game extremely enjoyable. Throughout the world, you can use certain items on specific spots in order to open secret areas. These items are not very common, which means that at many points you'll find yourself backtracking to other areas in order to unlock the secrets hidden by these items. So let's use one right here. Ooh, a new area. I wonder what exciting adventures will be waiting for us.
È un ognomo armato di ascia.
These are the Belfry Gargoyles, and as you can probably guess, they are just like the Bell Gargoyles, but 1,000 times worse. The arena is smaller, there's 6 of them, and they don't even wait for the first one to be weakened for the second one to join. And the third one. And the 4th one. And the 20th. Also, why does this undeserving bunch of creeps have a Bell Gargoyles theme? What, do you think I'm bitter? Why would I be? It's not like there was a blackout while I was recording and when I turned it back on, the recording was corrupted, so I had to replay the entire thing from this point. No, sir! After a couple of tries, I just summoned a dude and finished these things off. Because this is a 1v6 in an arena the size of a shoebox and I was not gonna be played by the game. Also, this boss was optional, so fuck my life. At this point, I died a couple of times, and you might have peeked at my health bar and thought it looked a little... malnourished. That is because every time you die, you lose a little bit of your max health, and to turn it back, you have to use a human effigy. And considering what game this is, this sounds like the prime type of things I would be complaining about. But actually, no. I didn't really have a problem with this, and that's for 3 reasons. First, every time you level up, you get a little bit of health, meaning that you don't have to specifically level up Vigor in order to get around this. Second, the amount of health loss is not that high, meaning that I don't have to use an effigy every single time I die. And third, the effigies themselves are not extremely rare, and I always had around 50 or 20 of them in my inventory. So overall, this was surprisingly something that I didn't have a problem with. Back to the game, since behind the gargoyles there's a whole lot of nothing, we have to go back to Lost Bastille where we find the entrance to Sinner's Rise. Why is this a different area? It looks exactly like the Lost Bastille. And now that I think about it, why was the Belfry Luna a different area? Look, the game itself is having a tantrum because of this. No jokes, this area is just an elevator and a corridor. And at the end of it, we find the Lost Sinner. While the fight is kinda simple, she makes it interesting by turning off all the lights in the arena, which decreases the lock-on range and makes it slightly harder to see what's going on. I did have a Phantom with me, but I don't think it made that much of a difference. And after the fight, we find this eerily square room, where at the center of it we find a primal bonfire? Yeah, it took me until this point to realize what I was actually doing. This time around, our objective is to collect the souls of the 4 old ones. And also the primal bonfires are there for reasons. Our next destination is the Shaded Woods. And to enter, we first need to depetrify this lady.
Hard to speak. Do you have any clothing that you could spare?
We can accessorize her? I didn't know Dark Souls 2 was a Barbie spin-off. Now we can actually enter the area and... Oh, come on, dude, get a room! After a bit, we reach a choice between 3 paths. Let's try the one on the left, and there's a closed door. Let's try the one on the center. No, there's another door. So you telling me 3 paths, but I'm forced to go to the right? I thought this was free country! The path on the right leads to London during fall, and its citizens are perfectly themed. White ghosts wielding knives. I miraculously managed to go through it without getting stabbed and reach the final part of the area. That is just a conglomeration of steaming crap. Not only the stabby ghosts are here, but we also have these urns that build up curse. What is that, you're asking? Well, think of the reduction of max health after you die, turning into something like poison that can build up over time, and realize why there's no more hope left for humanity. Wait, is that a moth? And we're in some ruins in a forest. Oh no, is this gonna be the moonlight butterfly again? Close enough. We're gonna fight an arthropod, but not an insect. We're gonna fight an arachnid, which is part of another group of arthropods called chelicerates. You see, here we are in the boss arena and it's just a lady. I must have made a mistake. I thought you were a giant scorpion monster. Oh shit! But here's a real question. If your crush has fur, you're a furry. If she has scales, you're a scaly. And if she has feathers, you're a feathery? But if she has an exoskeleton, then what are you? Next we find the Doors of Pharos, which is an extremely misleading name because I found a single Pharos lockstone and you need at least 60 of them to open all these spaces. And the one you find can be obtained from the boss, the Royal Rat Authority. This thing is nightmarish. The boss itself is extremely easy, but it all goes down the shitter when you take into account the rats. These things can apply Toxic, which if you don't know, it's a status that can provide a quicker death than a rabid bear mauling you. Also, while the hitboxes have been fixed, for the most part, sometimes they work a little too well. And depending on your weapon and the enemy, your attacks can go right above them, which is extremely fun when you're trying to get a crystal lizard. And after defeating it and getting the Pharos Lockstone, what do you think we also get? A rat that sounds like it came out of Bridgerton. That's it, I'm gonna go burning onto the ground. Our actual next spot is Bradstone Cove at Seldora, and I'm surprised it took until this point to encounter this problem. Yep. Using levers, opening doors, and going through fog gates doesn't make you invincible right away. But for a seemingly endless amount of time, your character has to thoroughly investigate the object, and during this, he can be hit, which stops the animation. Also, why did they put a fog gate for a bunch of basic enemies? Oh wait, why is there a health bar there? This is the boss? Prowling Magus and Congregation. Nothing but a sorry excuse of our boss. Moving on! I'm gonna preface by saying that the rest of the area is disgusting and it gave me PTSD, post-tarantula stress disorder. First of all, this place is filled to the brim with spiders, which wouldn't be a problem if the durability of weapons wasn't as short as my patience. Which is not that durable if you can believe that. They even went a step further by creating a room full of them that will swarm you if you look at them funny. And if you open this door to reveal Spider-Man, he's no problem, you say? Well, imagine having to run back to the boss, you don't want to have to kill all the spiders every time, and then he's just there, blocking the ladder. This means that every time you want to retry the boss, you have to turn to a shepherd dog for spiders just because you want to climb a ladder. And another stupid thing about this runback is the fact that when you reload, certain doors will close. And during my playthrough, I had to open these 2 doors so many goddamn times my hand grew a 6-pack. And all this is just an appetizer for the gigantic mound of radioactive sewage that is the Duke's dear Freya. Once again, we got a boss with its own little posse, because the more the merrier, am I right, Capra Demon? Oh, also, they respawn. just in case you accidentally kill them and you feel lonely afterwards. But let's talk about Freya herself. First of all, you can only hit her in her stupid faces, the same faces that you can use as battering rams and she can shoot lasers from. And after all that, the only redeeming thing is the fact that you can use her stupid head as a bowling ball. Hey you! Are you the owner of that stupid arachnid? Oh, before continuing, I really want to show you a picture of my daughter with her cute new outfit. Aww, isn't she beautiful? They grew up so fast. Next up, Hades Tower of Flame, aka the gathering spot for shitty bosses. The first one is behind the... Oh, come on, they didn't even try! So we got Discount Patches, Discount Crow, and now the red Hellkite Dragon with a beak. What other knockoff are you gonna throw at me next, game? I was joking? This has to be a sin. I'm pretty sure the Divine Comedy mentioned a layer of hell dedicated to a certain game designer. He must have been the guy who created this. What else can I say? This is just Ornstein with a different name. And for the next boss, I have to do something to make it more interesting. No! I messed up. I thought the levers would decrease the size of the arena, but instead they increase it. And thus, I deprived myself of the only enjoyment this battle can provide. I'm not even gonna show you the clip, because the battle lasted 35 seconds. It was really sad. So what's next? Oh, what is happening? Oh, something's coming out of me. Oh my god. What's going on? Oh, wait, where am I? No Man's Wharf! Oh god, not again! Ooh, what would you do with a drunken sailor? What would you do with a drunken sailor early in the morning? Please make it stop. What happened? Where am I? Oh, boss fight! The Flextile Sentry itself doesn't have anything interesting about it, but there is a cool gimmick with the arena. During the fight, the water level will slowly rise, meaning that if you take too long, the water will get to a point where you won't be able to move freely anymore, creating a sort of timer. Pretty cool stuff overall, which would be even cooler if it didn't just bring us back to the Lost Bastille. To actually continue, I first need to talk to this lady in Hades Tower, who will then move into Majula, where she can use a mechanism to open the path to the next area. Wait, you want me to pay you?
No need for miracles.
Miracles? It's a button! Ah, fine, here's your souls, you cheap prick. How for you this air is worth the money. Son of a bitch. Huntsman's Copse is essentially Blighttown but with Dark Souls 2 mechanics. And this place too has two bosses. The first is the Executioner's Chariot, which, all things considered, it's not that bad. The arena is a big circle where the chariot will run around, and your objective is to reach the end while maneuvering through skeletons and the rampaging chariot, in order to pull a lever, make the chariot crash, and fight the horses head on. It does feel a bit like they had an area and decided to put a boss in it, but it doesn't really bother me that much. But of course, it wouldn't be your proper average Dark Souls 2 boss without a bot. And at this point, I shouldn't even need to tell you what the problem is. So everyone now, 3, 2, 1, the run back. I think the footage speaks for itself. For the second boss, we have another Prowling Magus and Congregation situation, where the boss is just a group of basic enemies, this time skeletons. The Skeleton Lord's fight starts with just these 3 stronger than average skeletons, and every time you defeat one of them, a horde of lesser skeletons will spawn. And the thing is, all skeletons in the arena count in the health bar, meaning that even if you manage to quickly kill them 3 main skeletons, you still have 3 hordes of bones to take care of. And in the most terrifying twist, the fidget spinner skeletons are back. And what's our reward for the deplorable experience we just went through? A poisonous area! Somebody please get me out of here! Wait a second, champ. This is not just a poisonous area. This... What do you mean by not just? Well, we also have poisonous pools. Oh boy, I always wanted to take a bath in puke green water that sticks to my body and continuously poisons me. Oh boy, my favorite, radiation flavored vape! Is that a Goliath zombie from Plants vs. Zombies? I take everything back, I love this place! Nope, I ain't doing this. I'm not gonna make videos about video games anymore. Instead, I'm gonna start one of those YouTube channels that tour extremely expensive houses. What's up, Alex Nation? Today we're gonna be getting into the biggest, stinkiest house in all of Drang Lake. This house costed a whopping 10 billion souls, which means there was a lot of sacrifices. Welcome to the Earthen Peak. This is one of a couple of areas that is tiny tiny but compact. And since the last area didn't have enough poison in it, this one is filled with jars of poisonous liquid. In here we'll fight Pate! As I was saying, in here we'll fight a woman and her simp. The covetous demon was created when one of the game designers discovered what a fetus looked like, and that's extremely fitting, because fighting this is just as easy as fighting an aborted fetus. Then we have Mitha the Baneful Queen, who does have a very generic fight, but does have an interesting interaction between the arena and the area before it. Normally her arena is filled with poisonous liquid, but if you find and burn this windmill in the earthen peak, most of the poison will drain out, making the fight infinitely easier. And once that is done, we can go to... You know, I decided to go to another place first for no reason. In the Earthen Peak, there's a leathersmith called Gilligan, who gives us one of the most intense cutscenes in gaming history. Absolutely hardcore, baby! He will then show up in Majula, where he will insult us until we pay him to put down other ladders to descend the deep dark hole of Majula. From here we can... Okay, let's try this again. This game really wants me to commit war crimes. We first get to the Grave of Saints, and since we already got a group of plebs and a group of skeletons as bosses, it only seems fair to create another one to complete the 13th century Europe theme. A group of fucking rats. Oh, sorry. The Royal Red Vanguard. But instead of a group of enemies, this time it's a single enemy hidden among the others. A rat with a mohawk. And the British rat is back. Honestly, I would have rather had another poisonous area. I was joking! I would call this area one of three things. A toxic nightmare because of poison ball spitting statues, a 3D maze because this is another small but compact area but you can't see, and lastly an entomologist's paradise because there's random bugs everywhere. Also, the poison statues are annoying and all, but it could have been much worse. Oh. I just wanna close my eyes. I just wanna go to bed and cry myself to sleep, cause this game makes me wanna die. The Rotten! What a boss to finish this toxic ridden segment, huh? Yeah. Hey, show some respect. This is one of the great old ones. According to who you ask? Why, the expiration date, of course. And now there's a single one to slay. And he's just past the Iron Keep. I'm gonna sound like a broken record at this point, but this entire place is a run-back nightmare. And we can all blame everything on them, the Alon Knights. First of all, there's like a million of them. Their aggro range is seemingly infinite because every time I move a little bit, every single one of them starts sprinting towards me with a weird walk like they're trying to hold it in. And if that wasn't enough, we also have great bow-wielding archers. And while I'm at it, let's just mention the fact that the arrows have the ability to follow you by bending their trajectory. If you manage to get through this, you're then greeted by the Smelter Demon, a bulky bitch that at the end of the day is just a shortcut, because you can literally just run past the arena. But strangely enough, the rest of the area went very smoothly, which is extremely lucky, because if I had to go through this hellscape even a second time, I would have spontaneously combusted. And at the end of the keep we find him, the old Iron King. It took until the fourth one, but here's finally an old one that holds up to his title. Our battle will be legendary! Oh, you thought the battle was between me and the boss? Oh, no. The battle was between me and the Hall of Blood first. This gap in the arena has been the source of nightmares for many, because the boss can just push you into it. But through the power of anxiety and paranoia, I managed to avoid such fate. And now I can kindle the fourth and final primal bump. Ah! This is Aldia, and he's like the little devil on your shoulder that whispers in your ears and tells you instruction on how to usher in the age of endless nightmares. We'll talk about him later. So I finally got all these souls of the old ones, and at this point I defeated about 20 bosses, which means I should be pretty close to the end, right? You know what? Let's do a comparison with the first game, shall we? Dark Souls had 22 base game bosses, plus 4 DLC bosses, for a total of 26 bosses. Then Dark Souls 2 brought us 32 bosses. No, that sounds wrong. Oh, sorry, my mistake. 32 are the base game bosses. Then we have to account for the DLCs, each of which had 3 different bosses, for a total of 41 bosses. You know how to count? You know how much is too much? This is too much! And I wouldn't complain if it was a majority of great bosses, but a bunch of them just feel like mini-bosses. And to prove my point, let's do another comparison on what we're fighting. In Dark Souls we face unique type of demons, the Guardians of the Bells of Awakening, legendary knights and creatures, literal gods and ancestral lords, and the first Lord of Cinder himself. And what does Dark Souls 2 offer? Wizards and peasants. Animorphs. Very naughty girl. But now, after eons probably, we've completed our first objective, and we can now finally see what's inside those heads. With the souls of the old ones on us, we can go back to the Shaded Woods, open the Shrine of Winter, and make our way towards Dranglake's castle. But the gates are closed. How am I supposed to enter? Oh, it's one of those sacrifice-powered doors! I really wanted one of those for my house, but when I asked the locksmith, they said it was unethical or some other woke shit like that. We come to the castle to seek an audience with Nashandra, the Queen of Dranglake. And if the meeting with Guinevere is anything to go by, then we're in for a treat, if you know what I'm saying. Why do you look like a fish? Maybe something happens if I do this? So apparently her face is made of concrete. We then go through this absolutely empty room where there's absolutely nothing in it, especially not a boss. Yep, nothing interesting here. Let's just move on. Okay, I just need to find a way to continue. Past the first boss's room for Link Between Worlds, the headless assassins, and the horse? Guys, the horse is back! Anyway, after definitely less than 30 minutes, I figure out where I have to go so I can get the key to fight the glass-looking knight. For the first part, this is a pretty standard fight, but after you get to half health, the boss will spawn an NPC who, fun fact, if I was online, would be an actual player. This is one of a couple of attempts by From Software to create a multiplayer boss, which usually end up being either piss easy if done offline or brain melting if done online. And while this too would be excruciating if done against an actual player, the offline version is actually fun, making this the best example of this type of boss. Bye bye mirror guy. Next we go to the land down under, also known as the Shrine of Amara, also known as the reason why I have anger issues. I wrote my complaints in toilet paper, and you know exactly why. First of all, 90% of the area is covered with water, meaning that it takes 3 times longer to walk everywhere, and it's hard as shit to see where you're going. Then we have these goddamn sorceresses who, once they set their eyes on you, will never take them off and continuously shoot you. And lastly, Padre Retro Demone, go back to hell where you came from! Who signed off on this? Why do they want me to never sleep again? Oh, a crypt. You mean a place for the dead to rest? Maybe I'll also be able to enjoy some peace and quiet. Jesus! Adia, we're not talking about you yet. Go back to purgatory. Okay, one thing to remember for these places is to be quiet and respectful towards the deceased. Is that a bell? Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping? Brother John, Brother John. Shut up! Shut the fuck up! Beyond my many corpses, we find Velstad the Royal Aegis. There's not really anything I can say about him. It's a good standard fight. Not the best, but far from being bad. And after we defeat him, we can see that he was defending a room where this tall, dehydrated shrimp is walking around, alongside the King's Ring. And this is what we've been looking for. Throughout Dranglake, there are 3 doors that when approached has to show the symbol of the king. And said symbol is the ring we just acquired. 3 doors? 3 options? Does that mean we have a choice? Look at your stupid face. You really thought you had the ability to choose? That's a good one. There's a door in the Forest of the Fallen Giants, one in the Shaded Woods, and one in Dranglake's castle. But the only one that connects to something we can actually do is the second, which leads to Aldia's keep. And since we're in his abode, it seems like the perfect time to properly introduce him. Originally, Aldia was not physically present in the game, and we only knew him through item descriptions and the name of this place. He is the brother of Vendrick, the king of Dranglake, and he was known for being involved in a lot of experiments, some of which you can see in this house. You can find a Looking Glass Knight mirror shield, a giant basilisk, a Martian, and the one and only. And seeing all that, the boss must be some kind of crazy experimental creature for sure. If after this I see not even a dragon, if I see any lizard, I'm gonna raise hell. You listen to me. You need to shut your mouth! Not much to say about this area, it just serves as a passage to the next one. But to go there, we have to pass this scary bridge. Oh no, this is so scary, it's so wobbly, I'm gonna fall! But if you manage to not piss your pants, you reach the dragon's shrine and... God damn it, Aldia, why are you so tiny? Okay, let's see what unspeakable horror awaits for me next. Wait, they're not rushing at me? They're bowing. Have I finally found a place where I don't have to frantically run around for my life?
You are short, and therefore you must die!
Ah! This is lovely, a place where I can keep my guard down. Oh, hello there, you must be the boss around here. A pleasure to meet you. Hey, calm down, buddy. Guys, did you know that boss of yours is pretty crazy? Whoa, what the hell are you doing? Not even 30 seconds ago you were bowing to me as if I descended from heaven with a message from God and now you're trying to stab me? This is despicable. They lure me to a false sense of security and then stab me right after? I want to talk to a manager! Oh great, of course it's a lizard. It's always like that with these guys, going kingdom to kingdom, stealing jobs from us honest undead. Yeah. Incredible. Alright, hey, did you just see that? Aren't you gonna do anything about it? Or is it standard procedure to gut your guests? What the hell is this? A dead firefly? Go fuck yourself, you giant scaly boiler. This is actually the item that we need to continue forward, for it allows us to enter the memories of old, letting us experience the past of this land. In short, what we discover through them is the result of King Vendrick fucking around and finding out. He was warned of the looming threat of the giants on the other side of the sea, so to protect his kingdom, he went there where he killed and pillaged the giants. I feel like I've heard something like that before. What do you think, Christopher Columbus? No comment. But in retaliation, the giants attacked Drang Lake, which spelled the end of the kingdom. In order of interest, the worst of them all is the dragon's memory, because there's nothing in it, and to reach it we have to go back to the arena of the Dukes Dear Freya. The memory of Oro is essentially the same, but at least it's not difficult to reach and I can watch tiny dudes get bonked by big dudes. The memory of Amar is the same as the second one, but in it we find a guy that starts the conversation by saying that he has nothing to say to us before spilling the entire kingdom's tea.
Cheers! The motherfucking...
Giants.
And we also get another instance of... Second to last is the memory of Jake. Jig? Where we finally find something actually exciting. In it we fight the... Okay, let's try again. In it we fight the... Are you being serious right now? In it we fight... Oh, come on! What the hell is this? D&D with a party of chaotic dumbasses? In it we fight the... Can I continue? Great, thanks. The Giant Lord. Pretty easy boss, nothing much to say about it, until you notice that his appearance and moves are kinda similar to another foe we already fought. And you might have already guessed this, but he is the last giant in the past. As it turns out, we were actually the ones who defeated him back in the war, which also explains why he immediately freaks out once he sees us in the present. There's also a fifth memory we can access from the room behind Belstad Arena, the memory of the king, where we can talk to Vendrick himself. At this point, everything is ready for us to fight the final boss. But there's a couple of things we can still do. First and foremost, we defeated 26 bosses from the base game, and 3 of them are left. The first one is the Ancient Dragon, who honestly is pretty easy. The only actual bad thing about this boss is this attack, a giant AoE fire attack that, unless you start running before it starts, will hit you. It does have a dump truck load of health, but other than that, is your standard 4-legged beast boss, so just stick to his side and avoid the eventual stomp. The second boss is supposed to be in the room where we entered the memory of the king, but there's nothing here apart from the oversized shrimp. Maybe if I hit it hard enough, the boss will show up? Oh, it was Vendrick! Oh, I'm so stupid! But do you really blame me for making this mistake? I mean, look at this, think it was great and just... you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Once again, a pretty easy fight against a boss with a simple moveset and a dump truck load of health. And now there's only one boss remaining, but unlike every other boss in the series, getting to it is less of a discovery or a journey, and more of a chore. The boss I'm talking about is the Dark Lurker, and this fight is tied to a covenant. To unlock this fight, we must first find this guy in 3 different locations, and then go back to each location where we'll have to give him a human effigy to open a portal to a dark chasm of the abyss. In these, we'll need to defeat every single enemy and light a torch, and once all of these are lit, the hole at the end of the chasm that works as an exit will work as an entrance to the boss arena. The Dark Lurker is a spellcaster, and he has a nice and varied arsenal at his disposal. Once he gets to half health, he will enter a sort of phase 2 where he'll split in 2, meaning that you'll now have to deal with twice as many wizards. But at least the health bar stays the same, and you can hit either of them no problem. But there is something missing. Something that I haven't talked about in a while. The run back! This is not an easy boss, meaning you'll probably die a good number of times. And every single time you die, not only the old bastard will reclose the portal, meaning you need to pay him an effigy every single time, but also all the enemies respawn and you can't just run past them, because if you don't, there will be a fog gate to block the entrance to the arena. This is a very good boss, one of the best in the game even, but the stupid amount of stuff you need to do to reach it and retry it is horrendous. And after you do all that, the old man gives you a hex called Climax. But at last, all the base game bosses have been defeated, meaning that before the finale we need to cover only one thing: the DLCs. As I said before, the story of Dark Souls 2 revolves around the ruined kingdom of Drangleic and its king Vendrick. The DLCs follow this trend by making us venture into 3 fallen kingdoms. For this playthrough I decided to go through them in order of release, with the first one being the Crown of the Sunken King. The entrance to this DLC is behind the primal bonfire after the Rotten in the Black Gulch, which is definitely not a sign of things to come. We got the Harvest Valley, the Earthen Peak, the Gutter, the Black Gulch, so you know what this logically means? That we need a 5th poison area that is bigger than all the ones we've seen so far. This is Sholva, the Sanctum City, and from my understanding there was this dragon who had a poison container inside him, like the true Twitter user he is. He then got stabbed, which resulted in the green goo being released all over the city, and that's how everything here is out to intoxicate you. Overall, there's not really much I want to say about the DLCs, and that is good for 2 reasons. 1, I can save time on the video, and 2, it means that I didn't really find anything wrong with them. One thing that I did realize while going through this area that is not specific to it is the fact that when you grab an item, you don't get an image of it, meaning that in many occasions I would miss the fact that I grabbed, for example, a new armor or a new ring. And in here I missed the fact that I grabbed a couple of key items that I needed to progress, which translated into a 2-hour session of me stumbling around the city. I did eventually figure out where I was supposed to go and found my way to the first boss, Elana the Squalid Queen. Pretty solid boss, you know, interesting moveset, cool design, and oh, she can spawn allies, that's interesting. I wonder who's gonna show up. Is that Velstadt? So yeah, she can spawn another boss to help her out. Luckily she doesn't move around a lot, so you can just lure Velstadt away and quickly run back for a couple of hits until the battle's over. The second boss is right after Elana, and it's none other than the aforementioned dragon, Sin. Since he is another 4-legged beast boss, he is kinda similar to the ancient dragon, but with the quality level amped up to 1000. I can just simply say that this is literally one of the best fights in the game. In general, the DLCs are known for bringing some of the best content in the game when it comes to exploration and bosses. But at the same time, they managed to bring some of the worst content I've ever experienced in a video game. All 3 of them include a challenge area with a boss after it, and all of them are fucking terrible. Knowing this and being more than 30 hours into the game, I decided to at least reach the bosses and try fighting them, but spoilers, I didn't beat any of them. In Shulva we find the Cave of the Dead, and what do you think constitutes a challenge after a poison area? A petrification rush. Everything in this place causes this stasis effect, which when it fills out will instantly kill you, and in addition will have the normal effect of dying, but 5 times stronger. And to be perfectly clear, this is the best one of the 3. And after all that, the boss waiting for us is a gang fight! This is just the perfect place to display the horrid state of Dark Souls 2's NPC encounters. Unlike you, they're able to perfectly dodge any attack. Independently from their equipment, they're able to move at the speed of light while also having perfect poise, but for the cherry on top and the thing that specifically made me give up on this fight, the fact that they can just heal. So no, I'm not gonna fight these. So let's just go to the next DLC, the Crown of the Iron King. The entrance this time is behind the old Iron King's arena, under the watchful eye of the Bull. We first enter Broom Tower, where we're given these skewers that we can use to impale the demon ladies. Trust me, this will be important for later. For the most part, this DLC went very smoothly, except for this bloody aroma. Come on, I'm gonna make it, Are you serious? Why do you have to fondle the lever before pulling it, you waste of megabytes? I eventually found what I needed inside a room full of sweaty explosive men, and with it I could turn on the stove. Something that is definitely needed in these chilly times. Kill me! And at the bottom of the tower we found a dome surrounded by 3 of those demon ladies, who, by the way, can grant buffs to enemies around them. And the guy inside is no exception. This is the arena for the Fume Knight. If you fight him with the Maidens of Ash still present, they will heal him during the fight, so you'll have to remove them before the battle. Or do like me, who had to go around in search of 3 more skewers because I finished the one they gave me at the beginning. And once that's done, the battle becomes amazing. It's a perfect blend of speed, damage and health, and the Maidens of Ash create an amazing way for the boss to interact with its area. Overall, I can say with confidence that this is the best battle from the game. And it's kind of a shame that it took until the 34th boss for me to say this. What happened here is essentially what happened in the Dark Souls DLC, but the other way around. In that one I first fought Artorias, but I didn't enjoy the fight, and then I fought Manus, who became my favorite boss in the game. And then here in Dark Souls 2 I fought the Fume Knight, which became my favorite boss of the game, and then I fought Sir alone. Same exact situation. I like the fight, it's a fast and relentless boss, but I just think that he's slightly too fast compared to the speed of your character. Take all of that and combine it with this game's dodge not working half the time, and you get quite the headache-inducing boss. But the part that pissed me off the most was not the boss himself, but it is of course the run back. Do you remember the hellscape that was the run back to the Smelter Demon in the Iron Keep? Well, I can just copy paste what I said for that and triple it. Alone Knights everywhere, great bow wielding archers, and this time they also added fireball shooting salamanders. And of course this DLC also has a challenge area, and its name this time is the Iron Passage. There's no environmental bullshit this time, but that is balanced by the enemies being almost impossible to avoid. And there's also a sorcerer that casts an unavoidable spell that slows you down. And what awaits you after this fat rolling straw? The Blue Smelter Demon! I can't make this shit up. Am I supposed to feel excited for this? This is not Pokemon, we don't have shinies. And for some reason, before scripting, I was convinced it was actually called Smoldering Demon. You know, that he had a different name. But no, why would you want a unique experience in your video games when you can just experience the same thing in 1,000 different colors? And last but not least, the Crown of the Ivory King. This is the DLC that I had the least to say about, which means that I think that this is the best one of the 3. First of all, this DLC gives us the best interaction between bosses and area. As soon as we reach Ilium Lois, we can go and fight the boss immediately, but he will be invisible, and what we need to do is explore the area in order to find the Eye of the Priestess, which will make him visible, and the boss in question is Hava, the King's Pet. A solid, good fight with nothing bad about it. After you defeat him, you'll be granted an audience with the owner of the voice who's been telling us to F off this entire time. She will remove the snowstorm that enveloped the area, which will unlock the rest of it, and in it we'll need to find a group of Ivory Knights, who will aid us in the final fight. Said battle will start with us against hordes of burned Ivory Knights, and every time a certain number of them is defeated, one of your allies will sacrifice themselves to block one of the portals, and at the end of it, the true boss will appear, the Burned Ivory King. And I have nothing but praises for an amazing boss and a great way to finish off with the DLCs. But this is not the end, because we first need to go through the third and last challenge area. The worst one of the 3, and probably of all time. The Frigid Outskirts. A snowy wasteland where you'll be blinded 90% of the time, and where you'll get chased by ice deers that constantly charge at you and shoot goddamn lightnings. It would even be bearable if the area wasn't absolutely massive. I didn't have the slightest clue where I was supposed to go, and I ended up not even being able to find the entrance to the boss arena. But to be honest, I don't think I missed anything big. Take cover, lower the brightness, and double it. Congratulations, you just created Zulen and I don't remember their name. And now we actually finished the DLCs, which means we're at the beginning of the end. We came to this land not really knowing why, and we found ourselves in a quest to prove ourselves worthy of becoming the next monarch. And now we reach the final trial, here in the Throne of Want. But the ones who are paying attention might have realized that between the 29 base game bosses and the 9 DLC bosses, we fought a total of 38 bosses, meaning there's still 3 left? Well, where the heck are they? Why, they're actually all here. The Throne of Want is the stage for 3 consecutive boss fights, which will definitively prove my true worth as a monarch. Anyway, Anyway, I hope they don't mind me bringing the boys along. The first boss are Throne Watcher and Defender, who I believe are a couple who wanted to cosplay Ornstein and Smo and ended up being the Gargoyles. And are always up each other's ass. But it gets even worse, because if you down one of them, after only 20 seconds, the other can just heal them back to full. And apparently they can do this indefinitely. Right after them, we'll need to fight Nashandra, the queen herself, who has many attacks capable of applying curse. Go to sleep, Gran. And then, without even a second to rest, the third one shows up. Another familiar face.
Many monarchs have come and gone. One drowned in poison, another succumbed to flame. Still another slumbers in the realm of earth. Not one of them stood here as you do now. You, conqueror of adversities. Give us your answer.
Alia, the scholar of the first sin. I genuinely think that he is one of the best characters in the series. He is someone that at many points makes us question the reality of this world, and whether what we're doing is really out of our own free will. And this goes even deeper when you understand he is one who saw this world and the many kingdoms in it rise and ultimately fall. Even after we defeat him, he continuously makes us question what is it that we truly want.
I lost everything, but remain here patiently. The throne will certainly receive you. But the question remains. What do you want from me?
And once again, at this point, we have two choices. To sit on the throne, which somehow means we link the flame, I guess? Or leave the throne and let the flame fade. Which is ultimately what I did, because after what I witnessed, I feel like this world needs a reset. And to finish off, this was actually the first time where fighting the final boss didn't immediately bring you to New Game Plus, which is actually something I thought Dark Souls 3 introduced. Also, the New Game Plus in this game is interesting, because it adds new enemies and items in different locations, so that it's not just the same experience again, but with the old equipment. But surprisingly enough, I don't think I'm gonna try and experience that. It took me twice as long as last time, but I finally beat Dark Souls 2, and it's finally time to add a second entry to my list. Starting off once again with the gameplay, there wasn't any big improvement, or any big regression for the matter. It really just feels the same as the first game, for better or worse, and I definitely feel that in the movement. It still feels very sluggish, and while on one hand the hitboxes have definitely improved, on the other the mechanics linked to adaptability and agility highly hindered the experience. And since we started the same as last time, let's continue with the bosses. These I feel like were the ones who got hit the hardest by the quantity over quality approach. As I said before, a lot of them just feel like mini bosses, and even the ones that stand out above the rest get easily overshadowed by many bosses from the other games. And once again you get another tier list, and this one is a chunky one. I mean, look at how thick it is! My opinions on the story stayed pretty much the same, even if this game completely dissociates from the story of the first one, apart from some references. But there is something new that I noticed while making this video, and this can be also a redeeming factor for the bosses. I found myself watching a lot of lore videos from our Lord and Savior, and something just clicked. The fact that outside of gameplay and video game mechanics, the experience of fighting a boss is very different once you know who is it that you're fighting. Things like knowing that the Fume Knight was once a brother in arms with Velstadt, and together were King Vendrick's right and left arms. The fact that Seralone was a friend of the Iron King and helped his kingdom flourish, and so on. All these just make the world feel alive, and the creatures you're fighting feel like a part of it. But let's turn back up the sour meter and talk about the music, which is fine. Just fine. My biggest problem with it is that it sounds, there's no real way to sugarcoat it. It sounds bored. There are some tracks that stand out, but not very significantly. It's as if all of them were just sitting on their knees, but some were standing up, but with their legs still bent. One last thing, and the biggest one for this game, is its reputation. If you hear certain people talk about this game, you might imagine a dumpster fire. One of the comments from my last video even said to drink whiskey while playing, and I don't think it's a good prospect when they suggest to treat this game like a divorce. But once you play it, you realize that maybe it was all a bit exaggerated. There are many issues, sure, but this is extremely far from the unplayable garbage that certain people make it out to be. Overall though, playing it gives me the exact feeling I had while playing the first one, and that feeling probably has a name similar to that of a gastrointestinal disease, and while I don't hate it, I also won't play it again. In the end, I'm giving Dark Souls 2 a 6 out of 10. Definitely the worst of its trilogy, but far from being a horrible game. And for this one, I'd say we close it here. Thank you everybody so much for watching, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I already did so in a community post, but I want to thank you everybody so much once again for 100 subscribers and all the support and great feedback that you gave in the last video. It made all the effort I put into it worth it. But back to this video. If you enjoyed, press the like button and subscribe for more videos. Share the video with at least 10 friends or I'll turn your room into a poisonous swamp. And I'll see you all next time when I'll play Dark Souls 3. I've been thinking, what if me liking that game is actually like copium or something, and it was actually just like Dark Souls 2 but even worse? What if my mind was being manipulated? I don't want to go through this a third time. I don't want to. No! No!
God damn it.